The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. The book of Revelation, chapter 11, verse 14. The Bible predicts three woes in the book of Revelation, which are three escalating judgments or afflictions that occur during the end times. In the book, they are described as times of great anguish and suffering. World War I and World War II were the most devastating conflicts in modern history, both in terms of human loss and global suffering. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. The Second World War is over, but the Third World War will come soon after. Several recent statements by Russian politicians and commentators or media figures are saying things that amount to World War III has already started, or that the current situation is getting dangerously close. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk recently said that Poland and Europe more broadly are closer to armed conflict than at any time since the Second World War, after multiple Russian drone incursions into Polish airspace. Yahoo News, Polish PM, Europe closer to war than any time since World War II after airspace violations. Poland's prime minister has warned that the prospect of military conflict in Europe is closer than at any time since the Second World War, after the country's airspace was allegedly violated by Russia. The NATO member has invoked Article Number 4 of NATO to request a formal consultation with other members of the military alliance, after Donald Tusk told the Polish parliament its airspace was encroached on 19 times by Russian drones overnight during an attack on Ukraine. Article 4 has been invoked only 7 times since NATO was founded in 1949, and most recently by 8 Eastern European countries after the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. There is no reason to claim that we are in a state of war, said Tusk, but the situation is significantly more dangerous than all previous ones. Milton William Bill Cooper, a former U.S. Naval Intelligence Briefing Team member, made significant claims in his controversial 1991 book, Behold a Pale Horse. In the book, he alleged that he had access to top secret documents while working in naval intelligence that revealed secret government plans, including plans for a third world war, a one world government or new world order, alien contact and government cover-ups, manipulation through media and technology, a long-term agenda to disarm the American public. Cooper stated that secret government documents he viewed outlined plans for a coming global conflict, engineered by elite powers to justify the establishment of a totalitarian one world government. According to Cooper, this war would not be entirely traditional. It could include economic warfare, psychological operations, engineer pandemics, and even false flag events. Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper is a highly controversial and influential book, often regarded as a cornerstone of modern conspiracy theory literature. It was published in 1991. The full title of the book is Behold a Pale Horse, exposing the global elites' plans for the future of humanity. In it combines Cooper's own analysis of secret government activities with claims of hidden agendas, cover ups, and conspiracies. The title is taken from the Bible, the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 8, which talks about a pale horse ridden by death, symbolizing the apocalypse. Here are a few quotes taken directly from the book. All intellectuals, rulers, and governing bodies agree that population is the biggest threat to civilization that we know of today. It does not matter what you believe. If they believe it, you will be affected because they have the power. The New World Order will eliminate the population threat in several ways. Complete control of individual behavior may be established using electronic, that sounds like the microchip, or chemical implants. No one will be allowed to have a child without permission. Stiff penalties wait for those who ignore the law. The violent, the old, the infirm, the handicapped, and the unproductive will be unalived. Private property will be abolished. You will own nothing and be happy. Since religion helped to create the population problem, it will not be tolerated except for the approved state-controlled religion, which will evolve according to man's needs. Joseph Campbell explains this concept excellently in his series with Bill Moyers called The Power of Myth. Cash will disappear, the cashless society, and with it, most crime will also disappear. The YNs in Chicago should read this book. But total control of each individual will be the price we pay. It is true that without the population or the bomb problem, the elect would use some other excuse to bring about the New World Order. They have plans to bring about things like earthquakes, war, the Messiah, and extraterrestrial landing, and economic collapse. They might bring about all of these things just to make damn sure that it does work. They will do whatever is necessary to succeed. The Illuminati has all the bases covered, and you are going to have to be on your toes. to make it through the coming years. Williams Cooper's Behold a Pale Horse includes controversial and problematic views on race and population control. While Cooper is often associated with conspiracy theories surrounding government manipulation and the New World Order, some of his statements regarding population control and the treatment of racial minorities, particularly Black and Hispanic communities, have drawn significant criticism for being racist and eugenicist in nature. The target on the cover has a target with a shield of David with the colors red, black, and green. Some guy that I knew from Jamaica who was an Israelite pointed this out to me quite a few years ago. He said this is a reference to black Jews or Israelites. He said the elite was aware that Torah or biblical based groups were positive and family orientated. The population control propaganda was harder to disseminate to them. Sir Julian Huxley said, overpopulation is, in my opinion, the most serious threat to the whole future of our species. Since large populations were to be decimated, the ruling elite decided to target the undesirable elements of society. Specifically targeted were the blacks, Hispanic, and homosexual populations. The poor homosexuals were encouraged on the one hand and scheduled for extinction on the other. Dr. Julian Huxley was born June 22nd, 1887, and he died February 14th, 1975. He was an English evolutionary biologist, eugenicist. He was a proponent of natural selection. The population agenda is not modern. It goes back to ancient Babylon. Universal Center for Renovation presents historical and biblical Israelites. This video is strictly for educational purposes and commentary. This video is of biblical and secular historical literature, so enjoy. The population agenda goes back to the mystery cults or religions of Babylon. In ancient Babylon, religion and governance was often intertwined, and the priesthood wielded significant power. The population agenda is a method of social control and influence over reproduction and population management. It's possible to look at how these ancient cults might have shaped social norms. For example, ancient cultures often had complex laws about marriage, inheritance, and the roles of men and women. Something that could be interpreted as an effort to manage or regulate population dynamics, albeit in a religious or mystical context. From Babylon to America, the mystery of iniquity. AI overview. In the Bible, the mystery of iniquity refers to the hidden yet active power of lawlessness and rebellion against God that was already at work in the Apostle Paul's time and continues to grow in the world. Found in 2nd Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 7. This spiritual phenomena prepares the way for the Antichrist and will fully culminate in a time of intense global lawlessness and chaos before the day of the Lord. The mystery lies in how this power is partially veiled rather than completely unknowable and is ultimately restrained by God into a specific time. Key aspects of the mystery of iniquity, lawlessness, and rebellion. The mystery of iniquity is essentially the power of sin and lawlessness operating in the world. It's a systemic rebellion against God's divine government and standards. The historian Flavius Josephus, in this context, Josephus, in his work Antiquities of the Jews, Book 1, Chapter 4, refers to the biblical figure Nimrod and ties him to the foundation of Babylon and its subsequent religious practices. Josephus, drawing from a mix of biblical tradition and other sources, portrayed Nimrod as a powerful and influential ruler who is credited with the establishment of idolatry and the formation of the Babylonian religious system. The Babylonian mystery cults incorporated a deep set of esoteric knowledge and religious rituals designed to both govern and control the people. These religious rites and mysteries were typically reserved for a select few, often the priesthood or elites, and were seen as a way to control knowledge about the gods and the forces of nature. Josephus's account ties the origins of these Babylonian practices to a desire for power, both divine and earthly. It's in these mystery cults that we can see some of the earliest examples of secretive religious systems, where the initiate might have access to hidden truths or practices that the general population wasn't privy to. This secrecy, combined with the hierarchical nature of these cults, lent itself to controlling society through both spiritual and political means. These systems served not just to organize society, but to maintain power over people's lives, including their beliefs, their family structures, and their roles in society. Ancient religious systems often had rituals that involved fertility deities or ceremonies that regulated birth rates, marriage practices, and even societal hierarchies based on lineage. These systems indirectly influenced population dynamics by shaping how families were formed, how wealth and power were inherited, and how people were made to conform to certain societal roles. AI overview. The Babylonian mystery religion refers to a system of ancient polytheistic and ritualistic worship originated in Babylon, which proponents argue spread throughout the world and influenced other religions. This controversial concept, primarily found in some evangelistic interpretations, links Babylonian practices like mother and child worship and Trinitarian Godhead concepts to later religious traditions, including aspects of Christianity, as a corrupted mystery system. Wikipedia. Greco-Roman mysteries, mystery religions. mystery cults, sacred mysteries, or simply mysteries, were religious schools of the Greco Roman world for which participation was reserved to initiates. The main characteristic of these religious schools was the secrecy associated with the particulars of the initiation and the ritual practice, which may not be revealed to outsiders. The most famous mysteries of Greco Roman antiquity were the Eleusinian mysteries, which predated the Greek Dark Ages. The mystery schools flourished in late antiquity. Emperor Julian of the mid 4th century is believed by some scholars to have been associated with various mystery cults, most notably the Mithrist. Due to the secret nature of the schools, and because the mystery religions of late antiquity were persecuted by the Christian Roman Empire from the 4th century, the details of these religious practices are derived from descriptions, imagery, and cross cultural studies. And Josephus's account of the post flood period, particularly in Antiquities of the Jews, Book 1, Chapter 4. According to Josephus, the descendants of Noah did not immediately descend from the mountains or from the regions of northern Mesopotamia, where they had taken refuge during the flood. In Josephus's telling, the people initially settled in higher regions, which he associates with mountainous areas, likely because they were wary of further catastrophes, especially given the biblical narrative of the Great Flood that had wiped out the previous corrupt civilization. The flood, in their view, was a divine judgment, and they may have chosen higher ground in the belief that it would offer them protection against any future calamities. The archaeologists named the culture in that area where Josephus names the mountainous regions. They call that area Tas Tepe, meaning stone hills in Turkish. These are post flood settlements. The people in the aftermath of the flood, according to Josephus in the biblical narrative, would have descended from the highlands into fertile Mesopotamia, much like how early humans after the flood, their populations began to spread out from the highlands of Armenia, where Mount Ararat was located, into the plains of northern Mesopotamia, and then eventually into southern Mesopotamia, where Shinar and Babylon was located. Gobekli Tepe is often considered an important archaeological site in understanding the cultural developments of the region that Josephus called the mountainous areas. It's linked to the culture of northern Mesopotamia and southeastern Anatolia, which is called Tas Tepe. This makes it, Gobekli Tepe, one of the oldest known religious or ceremonial sites in the world, predating the construction of other major ancient sites, like the pyramids of Egypt or the ziggurats of Mesopotamia. This site's massive stone pillars, which are carved with animal symbols suggests that Göbekli Tepe was a center for religious and ritual activities. The twin pillars of Göbekli Tepe have a direct lineage to the twin pillars of Freemasonry. The idea of twin pillars at Göbekli Tepe is suggested by some interpretations where two large standing stones could represent duality, masculine and feminine, heaven and earth, or the balance between opposing forces in the cosmos, or negative and positive. If we consider these dual pillars in the context of Freemasonry, where the two pillars at the entrance of King Solomon's temple are often said to symbolize Boaz, which means strength, and Jachin, which means establishment, we see a parallel idea, duality and balance, at the center of human spirituality and knowledge. The lineage of hidden knowledge. Some esoteric traditions, particularly those involved in the study of Freemasonry, suggest that there is a lineage of hidden knowledge that has been passed down from ancient times. This knowledge, often encoded in symbols like the twin pillars, is seen as a key to unlocking deeper spiritual truths. Göbekli Tepe, as a site of early ritual and spirituality, could be viewed as part of that lineage, providing the foundation for later systems of thought that will eventually evolve into the esoteric traditions of Babylon, ancient Egypt, and eventually Freemasonry. The Kotor Koronati Lodge is one of the most well known and respected research lodges in Freemasonry, particularly famous for its extensive work on the history of Freemasonry and its connection to ancient traditions, including the study of mystery religions and various religious systems across the world. The Quarator Coronati Lodge, meaning Four Crowned Ones Lodge, was founded in 1884 in London. Its primary mission is to investigate the history, origins, and symbolisms of Freemasonry. Quattor Coronati Lodge, Wikipedia. Quattor Coronati Lodge number 2076 is a UGLE, or United Grand Lodge of England chartered lodge, that meets at Freemasons Hall, London. It is widely considered the premier lodge of Masonic research in the world. Its purpose since its founding in 1886 has been to replace the speculative and romantic histories of Freemasonry with a new standard of evidence based academic inquiry. The lodge's founding marked a significant turning point in Masonic historiography, establishing a methodology known as the Authentic School of Research. It is renowned for its annual journal, Ars Cultor Coronatorum, and its global membership group, the Cultor Coronati Correspondence Circle, QCCC, which was created to disseminate its research internationally. The Quattor Coronati Lodge has always taken a scholarly approach to its research, and much of their work involves exploring the origins of Freemasonry and its symbolic connections to other religious and spiritual traditions. Freemasonry, symbolic and ritualistic structure has long been linked to various ancient mystery religions, some of which were centered around the idea of secret knowledge or hidden teachings, often associated with death and resurrection, rebirth, and spiritual enlightenment. These religions were practiced in ancient cultures such as Egypt, Babylon, Greece, and Rome, and their themes of initiation and symbolic death and rebirth are mirrored in Masonic rites of passage. John Daniel's book, Scarlet and the Beast, is often cited by those who explore the deeper connections between Freemasonry, secret societies, and mystery religions. In this work, Daniel delves into the historical roots of Freemasonry and its relationship to the ancient mystery religions, particularly the Babylonian, Egyptian, and Greek traditions. His exploration provides a narrative that ties these esoteric systems to modern institutions, particularly focusing on the Quattuor Coronati Lodge and their research into these ancient religious systems. Scarlet and the Beast is a book that examines the history of Freemasonry, particularly the influence of the Babylonian mystery cults on the formation of Western secret societies and their rituals. It discusses the symbolism, rituals, and ancient origins of Freemasonry, linking them to a wider tradition of occult knowledge that stretches back to the mystery schools of Babylon, Egypt, Greece, and Rome. The book also delves into the concept of the beast as a symbol of power of ancient secret societies that have continued to shape world events through hidden knowledge and esoteric control. In the book, Daniel focuses on the role of the Quattuor Coronati Lodge and its deep interest in mystery religions. The lodge is known for its scholarly work and research into the origins of Freemasonry, but Daniel suggests that the lodge's investigation into mysticism and hidden knowledge might have been more than academic. He highlights how some Masonic researchers, including those within the Kotor Coronati Lodge, have shown great interest in the connections between ancient Babylonian religions, the Kabbalah, and Freemasonry, which often emphasizes themes such as initiation, ritual sacrifice, death and resurrection, and the attainment of hidden knowledge. Here's a direct quote from the book. The Kotor Coronati Lodge discovered that pagan religions, in harmony with their cyclical world outlook, had long ago interwoven into their political society mythological law. AI Overview. Mythological law refers to the concept of divine or natural law, personified by figures like the Greek Titan Themis, who represents the fundamental order, justice, and customs established by the gods in the natural world. It is a broader, more profound system of rules and morality that predates human made laws, influencing community behavior and ethical conduct through divine will and cosmic order. Definition number two, AI overview. Mythological law can refer to divine law as understood in ancient mythologies, like the Greek goddess Themis, or to the idea that human laws are shaped by narratives and beliefs, acting as a kind of myth that creates societal order. The Kotor Kornati Lodge discovered that pagan religions, in harmony with their cyclical world outlook, had long ago interwoven into their political society mythological law, through which they maintained control of the populace. The dominant figure in these prevailing myths was usually a goddess who symbolized Mother Earth, and who thus provided the basis for an ideology that man and earth were one. Pagan religions taught that Mother Earth required the continuation of creation through procreation, with periodic demands for population control. These myths were carefully cultivated and applied by a designated caste of priests who designed licentious rituals in their worship as a sacrament to Mother Earth. These rituals, of course, appeal to the base nature of man. Therefore, these mythologies created by man became mythological law. In this religion, Mother Earth could become angry. When she did so, it meant that man was multiplying too rapidly. To appease the mother goddess, mythological law demanded human sacrifices, usually of the very young. Paul de Paris in Unholy Sacrifices of the New Age says, whether known as Kali, the many-armed Hindu goddess Kali, who wears for a necklace a chain of human skulls, or Diana, Isis, or Astarte, Mother Earth, or her dark mirror image, consistently required blood as an appropriate offering. She who created or procreated also destroyed and devoured her own young in bloody ritual. The purpose of the sacrifice was to save the earth. Nigel Davies in Human Sacrifice in History and Today confirms both sacrificer and victim knew that the act was required to save the people from calamity and the cosmos from collapse. And their object was therefore more to preserve life than to destroy life. Mythological law required mothers to willingly give up their children to the flame or to the knife. With the Ario Io in Tahiti, Status was based entirely on one's devotion to killing one's own children. The North American and Mexican Indians both stress the belief that the victim would profit from his own sacrifice, thus allowing the executioner to feel no guilt and denying the victim the opportunity to protest his own sacrifice. Thus, legalized MURDER became a part of Mother Earth's mythological law of population control. The Quatuor Coronati Lodge of Masonic Research set out to apply mythological law to present day Masonic work in the same manner in which a designated caste of priests had in ancient times designed rituals of human destruction to appease both Mother Earth and degenerate man. The 33rd degree hierarchy of both English and French Freemasonry, Masons who had already delved into witchcraft, duplicated the system for their budding mystic fronts. By catering to the baser instincts of man, the two Freemasonries found it a simple task to unite under a political system that permitted the free exercise of mythological law. Diametrically opposed to the Judeo-Christian teaching, it should be no surprise that these sub-Masonic societies became anti-Semitic and anti-Christian. Today they are known as white supremacists. Their plan to save the earth through a process of earth purification was and still is to annihilate the dark-skinned races, which include the Jews. From this ideology was born the Nazi movement. If you were a part of a political or spiritual group that planned to depopulate the earth, would you be afraid of extraterrestrial interference? If extraterrestrials were much more technologically advanced and had a more evolved sense of ethics or morality, the idea that they could potentially interfere with a depopulation agenda would definitely be cause for concern. A group trying to manipulate the population for their own ends might fear that advanced alien intelligence will see such an agenda as dangerous, unethical, or even a threat to the stability of the planet itself. AI Overview 31 Atlas is the name for the third known interstellar visitor to our solar system, detected by NASA's ATLAS, or Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System. While scientists like Avi Loeb suggest that its unusual characteristics, such as a lack of a typical cometary tail, its brightness, and its trajectory, could hint at alien technology. Most evidence points to its being a natural object like a comet. The object is on a hyperbolic orbit and will eventually leave our solar system without posing a threat to Earth. Global elites who may wield power over large sections of humanity might see off-planet threats as one of the few forces capable of genuinely challenging their dominance. What if the extraterrestrial threats or off-planet threats was the return of Jesus Christ? What would the elites do? Would they fight him? If Jesus Christ returned in a way that might be perceived as an extraterrestrial threat by the global elites, these elites who thrive on control and power, how might they respond to the arrival of a messianic figure who embodies the values of love, justice, peace, and truth? Given the extraordinary nature of the event, the first response from the global elites will likely be disbelief. For many elites who thrive on rationalism, power, and control, the idea of a supernatural event like the return of Christ would challenge everything that they believe in. The elites might initially refuse to acknowledge it. The return of Jesus Christ would represent a total upheaval of the existing power structures. For the elites who thrive on material power, economic control, and the manipulation of global systems, this could be seen as an existential threat. If Christ's return threatens the elite absolute control, they might attempt to neutralize him or suppress his influence by any means necessary. The book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, starting with verse number 1. The vision of the man from the sea, or the return of Jesus Christ. After 7 days, I had a dream. During the night, I looked and saw a wind rising from the sea and stirring up all of its waves. As I watched, this wind made something like the figure of a man come up out of the heart of the sea. That man was flying among the clouds of heaven. Whenever he turned his face to look, everything that fell under his gaze trembled. Wherever an utterance came from his mouth, all who heard his voice melted as wax melts when it feels the fire. I kept watching these things, and an innumerable multitude of people came together from the four winds of heaven to fight against the man who had come up from the sea. I watched as he carved a great mountain for himself and flew onto it. I tried to see the region or place from which the mountain was carved, but I couldn't. After this, I looked, and I saw that all who have gathered to do battle against him were sorely afraid, yet they dared to fight. When he saw the rush of the multitude coming, he didn't raise his hand or hold a spear or any weapon of war. Rather, I saw something like a wave of fire shoot forth from his mouth, and a breath of flame from his lips, and a storm of sparks from his tongue. All these things, the wave of fire, the breath of flame, and the mighty storm, mixed together and fell upon the crowd that was rushing forward, prepared to fight. It burned them all up, so that suddenly nothing was seen of the innumerable mob except the dust of ashes and the smell of smoke. I saw this and was amazed. After these things, I saw the same man coming down from the mountain and calling to himself another crowd, a peaceful one. Many people came to him. Some were rejoicing, and some were sad. Some were even tied up, while some were bringing other people as an offering. I woke up in great fear and pled with the Most High. Psalms, the book of Psalm 149, verse 8. To bind their kings with chains and their nobles with feathers of iron. Some were sad. Some were even tied up. To bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. Verse 21. He answered me, I will tell you the interpretation of the dream as well, and I will explain to you the things you spoke about. As to what you said about those who are left, this is the interpretation. He who brings the danger at that time will himself guard those who fall into danger, who have works and faith in the Most Mighty One. Know therefore that those who are left enjoy greater privilege than those who have died. The interpretations of the vision are as follows: and that you saw a man going up from the heart of the sea. That is the one whom the Most High has been keeping for many ages. He will liberate God's creation all by himself, and he will put in order those who are left. And that you saw something like wind and fire and storm go out of his mouth, and that he didn't hold a spear or weapon of war, yet destroy the rush of the multitude that had come to fight him. Here is the interpretation. Look, the days are coming when the Most High will begin to rescue those who are on the earth. Those who live on the earth will go out of their minds. They will plan to wage war against each other, city against city, place against place, nation against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. When these things happen, and the signs that I showed you before take place, then my Son will be revealed, whom you saw as a man rising up. When all the nations hear his voice, then each one will leave his own region and will leave off the wars they were waging against each other. An innumerable mob will be gathered together, as you saw, wanting to come and fight against him. But he will take his stand on the summit of Mount Zion. Zion will come and will appear to all, built and ready, as you saw a mountain carved without hands. My Son himself will indict the assembled nations for their impious deeds. These things were indicated by the storm. He will scold them for their evil plans and reveal the torments with which they are about to be tortured. These things correspond to the flame. He will destroy them without effort by the law, which was indicated by the fire. During World War III, Yahushua shall return. The nations who are fighting each other will stop fighting each other and attempt to fight against Yahushua, who the world known as Jesus Christ, and they will lose according to the prophecy. Mystery religions or secret societies with esoteric beliefs could be seen as having a death cult aspect, especially when their rituals and teachings seem to emphasize themes of control, sacrifice, and rebirth. This ties into broader conspiracy theories that suggest certain powerful elites or organizations have hidden agendas, including depopulation or the manipulation of humanity towards darker ends. AI overview. Mystery religions refer to secret initiation based cults of the ancient world, such as the Eleusinian mysteries and Mithraism, that offered spiritual salvation, a better afterlife, and initiation rites to members sworn to secrecy. Death cults is a pejorative and an accurate term for mystery religions. While some mystery religions focus on mythic cycles of death and rebirth or promise and afterlife, they were not inherently focused on death in the negative or harmful way that the term death cult implies. Even though it's a pejorative, it is pretty accurate to describe cults who are obsessed with death. When certain mystery religions emphasize humanity's impermanence or focus on death as a transition, it can give rise to a worldview where human lives are considered less valuable or more disposable, especially when the elite see themselves as chosen or superior due to their hidden knowledge. This can manifest in depopulation agendas or social Darwinism, where certain lives are seen as less important or non necessary for the greater good or the greater goal of preserving power, order, or esoteric visions of the future. Many mystery schools and ancient religions had forms of spiritual elitism, where the belief was that only the most worthy, those with the right knowledge, would survive or ascend to a higher state of existence. This type of thinking could easily translate into a form of elitism in a modern world where the powerful elite view the masses as expendable or unworthy of the new world order that they want to build. In some esoteric traditions, there is an emphasis on the idea that the world is overcrowded or that humanity has outgrown its spiritual or ecological capacity. Some elites might rationalize depopulation as a necessary evil, removing the weak or unsuitable members of society in order to ensure the survival of the fittest. This can tie into notions of a pure or more enlightened society where only those who align with the elite's values or knowledge would survive.